am a fifth-generation Californian, and I grew up in San Francisco. And all my life, I knew that my great-great-grandfather, Isaias Hellman, had something to do with Wells Fargo Bank. But I didn't really know what he had to do with Wells Fargo Bank. And so at a certain point in my life, I decided I wanted to find out the answer to that question. And so I went to the California Historical Society and I asked to look at Hellman's papers. And I found this incredible array of letters, diaries, business documents that showed that Isaias Hellman was business partners with people like Collis Huntington, Levi Strauss, some of the great iconic names in California. And I realized that there was this wonderful untold story about this Jewish banker who had really played an instrumental role in developing California. When I started to research the life of Isaias Hellman, I was astounded to find out that he really was the man who tamed the financial system of the Wild West. And the first place he did that was in Los Angeles. When Hellman moved there in 1859, it was a small pueblo with just a few thousand people. And in 1871, Isaias Hellman opened something called the Farmers and Merchants Bank, which turned out to be the first successful bank in Los Angeles. It brought capital to the region. It lent money to people to buy homes, to start businesses, to go out and acquire property. And so Hellman really played a fundamental role in helping Los Angeles transform itself from this small, dusty town into a major metropolis that we know today. The story of the 1906 earthquake is very well known, and it's an iconic story in California. But there's a lesser-known story about what happened after the earth shook and the sky burned. When the earthquake hit on April 18, 1906, Isaias Hellman was asleep in his bed, like most San Franciscans, and he got up and he fled to a nearby park. But when the shaking stopped, his first instinct was to go down to his bank, Wells Fargo Bank, on Pine and Montgomery Streets, to see what was going on. And when he got there, the building had been slightly damaged, but it was intact. And so they opened for business as usual. But around 10 a.m., the fire department ran in and said, "The fire's gotten out of control and you have to leave the bank." So Isaias Hellman fled like everyone else, and he went to his house in Oakland, his country home. And when he returned, the entire downtown section of San Francisco was completely destroyed, including the Wells Fargo Bank. And Hellman knew that the city could rise up again, but what he was very concerned was that there would be a financial panic, that people would lose confidence in the ability of San Francisco to raise money to build itself. So Hellman, along with other bankers, orchestrated an orderly return to opening the banks, to opening the safes of the banks, and to getting money out to the community to enable people to buy goods. So that was something I never knew about, that Hellman had played a really fundamental role in sort of restoring the economic stability of San Francisco after the earthquake. I guess I realized that the Hellman family, through many generations, had been contributors to California in both good ways and sort of controversial ways. Isaias Hellman was a tremendously successful man, but his sons and daughters and grandchildren also have been really successful. So it was nice to see that, you know, this notion of doing good works, of being involved in the community, is handed down from generation to generation. It's an interesting thing to write about a member of your family, particularly when you don't know that member and that member has passed on. Because on one hand, I didn't know him, I couldn't offend him. On the other hand, I wanted to do him justice and the role he played in California justice. And so I tried to tread carefully between being a critical journalist and somebody who was trying to show a great story about a man who'd done some good things.
Oh, Isaias, to opportunity you ran. Oh, Isaias, you were a mighty man. Oh, Isaias, you were a mighty man.